Okay, everyone, we're joined now by defender Dave Romney. Dave, thank you for joining us. We're going to jump right into questions. We'll get started with Frank DeLappa. He'll be followed up by Jeff Lemieux. Frank, you're unmuted.
Hey, Dave. Team's been in every game on the verge of a lot of wins. What's missing? What's the one or two things you guys need to do to get back to the winning habit? Is it mentality, tactical, good fortune?
Kind of a little bit of everything. I think for starters, we need to be a little bit cleaner in the back. We've been giving away a little too many chances, and I think we were late today because we were just kind of doing some extra defenders meeting and just looking at clips and stuff that how we can clean ourselves up. So I think that's one of the big factors personally. And just kind of being more cohesive as a unit of what we want to do to the other team and then what we are expecting from the other team and how we want to defend it. So I think just getting a little bit more clarity this week will hopefully help.
Next we go to Jeff Lemieux. He'll be followed by Caroline Oatway. Jeff?
Dave, obviously nobody's going to know this Nashville team better than you, having spent so much time there, but they've had a really similar identity for a long time, rooted in kind of that defensive solidity, which you were a huge part of. So as you prepare for a game against this team, what becomes some of the keys and what kind of game do you have to expect against this group?
They're a team that's extremely solid defensively. Gary always has them extremely organized. All the players, on literally all 11 of them, are extremely focused defensively. They're hard workers. They're good defenders, 1v1. So it's a very cohesive unit in the defensive aspect. And then in the attack, they're extremely dangerous on counterattacks, and set pieces are probably the two main. But they have quality all over the field, so it's definitely a solid team, and hoping to go there and get a result.
Next we go to Caroline Oatway. She'll be followed up by Sam Minton. Caroline?
Thanks, Dave. Can you just talk a little bit about Henry Kessler? Obviously signed a new contract, how important he is to the team, his best qualities, and how much you're looking forward to playing with him.
Yeah, it's big. Frank, we unfortunately didn't get a lot of time together. Just was it 7 games, I think, at the beginning of the year. We had a great start. He's a very good athlete, very good 1v1 defender, good on the ball, and so it'll be nice to see him kind of hopefully get his legs underneath him before we start this playoff run. But yeah, it's great to have him back.
Next we go to Sam Minton. He'll be followed up by Rich Thompson. Sam?
Hello, Dave. Just wanted to ask, obviously, the outside back depth's going to be tested with DeJuan being on international duty, and Clint just said that Andrew Farrell would be out. So just as a unit, how do you make up for those losses?
We make up with it with good depth. We've got a lot of solid guys on this team and a lot of versatile players as well who can play multiple positions. So I'm not honestly too worried. It's obviously nice to have a national team outside back on your roster on game days, and Farrell as well. But very confident in the guys we have and that we'll be sending in to start for us on Saturday.
Next we go to Rich Thompson. He'll be followed up by John Lupo. Rich?
Hello, Dave. Just comment a little bit about Hanny Mukhtar and Carlos Hill. You're playing with the last two MVPs in the league. Can you just tell us what you observed from both of those players over the last 2 years?
Definitely different styles of play as a 10, kind of. Honey's a little bit more of like a false 9, kind of, and Carlos is like more of a 8 and 10 kind of playmaker. Different styles, but both extremely, extremely solid players. Their quality is unmatched on the field. They're usually the best player on the field when they're on the field, and it's been a pleasure to play with both of them. Honey's a little bit more, I guess, goal focused or like lethal in front of goal. He's been very good these past, I think, 2 or 3 seasons at creating something out of nothing. Whether he's dribbling 1 or 2 guys, whether he's starting an attack, or he's just really good on the counter. And then Carlos is the heart and soul of our team offensively. He's extremely good in possession. He's extremely good at switching the point of attack and finding guys in really difficult spots for the other team. And I can't say enough good things about either of them. They both, every year, are putting up like 15 goals, 15 assists. So not much more you can ask for from one of your DPs.
We'll take 3 more questions. First we'll go to John Lupo. He'll be followed by Seth McCumber and Jeff Lemieux to end. John?
Dave, you mentioned how good Nashville are with set pieces and counterattacks. Discipline is always important in matches like this, but just talk about how much more important discipline will be not to give away those opportunities to them and be strong with the ball. And also, you've had such a consistent season, played, I believe, every minute of every game. How important, especially with your depth at the back line being tested a little bit, will your role and your play be maybe more highlighted in a big match like this?
I don't know if my role will be highlighted anymore per se. It's just every game I'm doing everything possible to keep a shutout. But regarding their set pieces, it's something they take very seriously, and they have extremely good personnel. Walker is a beast in the air, and they have other guys who do their jobs extremely well and have scored a lot of goals. I remember when I was there, we scored maybe, I don't know, last year like 15 or 20 goals off set pieces, which is pretty crazy. And they're the same team this year. I've seen them score a lot of nice set pieces, and they just present a lot of challenges, and no matter who you have on the field for us, it's going to be difficult. You kind of have to give away one thing if you're going to stop another. But thankfully, we'll have 3 big center backs potentially. I don't know. It's just winning your battles, and I don't know. They're definitely a tough task on set pieces, but we're going to do the best we can.
All right, next we'll go to Seth McCumber, and he'll be followed by Jeff Lemieux. Seth?
When Clint came aboard, you guys kind of switched things up tactically. And after Saturday's game, you mentioned that you guys are going to reflect as a group. I'm just curious if you can reflect on that tactical switch and maybe think about going forward what you'd like to see. And what is it like to work with a coach that's really collaborative and working with his players and getting feedback from his players?
Yeah, it's definitely different, but I think it's something that guys have taken liking to, and it's kind of been a nice collaborative process, but it's very important to remain cohesive, even with a lot of kind of people inputting their opinions, and I think we've done a better job this week of kind of figuring that out. Sorry, what was the first part of the question?
It was about the tactical switch.
Just to reflect on Clint Pierre obviously put in a new tactical system. He mentioned you guys need to find your identity before the playoffs begins. He said you guys are going to reflect this week. So just reflecting on that system and maybe going to 2 forwards or switching it up.
Yeah. And some of the tactical switches is a result of the squad and just losing guys in certain positions. And since he's joined, we've had a lot of, I guess, injuries or players missing time, whether it's with the national team or just random stuff like that. So it definitely is in a tough spot as a coach when you constantly have the squad changing and guys coming back from injury, guys going out with injury, and just trying to put the best team on the field in the best formation. So obviously it is nice to be cohesive and kind of play the same formation week to week, but sometimes that's not what the health of the squad presents. So I think he's done a good job managing that, and we're going to do the best we can with what we got this week.
For our last question, we go to Jeff Lemieux.
Yeah, Clint did say he liked a little bit of what he saw in the second half of that Orlando game. When you guys did switch, you mentioned you had 3 center backs for a little while. What is it, as the group has looked back, particularly at the second half of that game, that you feel like they've been able to pull that's kind of useful moving forward?
I mean, it was nice to win the second half. If I guess you could say we won the second half 1-0. It obviously doesn't mean anything because we lost the game. But kind of a positive to take forward potentially with that formation if we do decide to go with that in the future. I don't know how much of it is a result of us being a little more solid is because Orlando is winning 3-1 and maybe they're not sending as many guys forward, or kind of the game script, rather than would that have been as successful if we were up 3-1 and they were just bombing guys forward. So yeah, I don't know, remains to be seen, but there definitely were positives to the second half. I think we got some more crosses in. Yeah.
All right, Dave, that's all the questions we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for joining. We'll have a transcript out shortly.